This is News Channel 5. I am Brandon Ropel, and today we are interviewing Claire from Lois Lowry's book, The Son. Hello, Claire. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good today, thank you.
Okay, we wanted to ask you a few questions this evening. First off, how did you feel when you were first assigned your job as birth mother at the ceremony of 12?
At first I was disappointed because my brother was assigned a role in Law and Justice, which was a very prestigious and advanced career, while my job as birth mother was viewed as a very simple and banal career. In retrospect, I was not shocked that I got the assignment because I was never really good at school and I wasn't as outgoing as some of the people in my childhood. My parents were very supportive of me, though, in my assignment as birth mother because they believed that birth mothers were important to the community because they gave the future population.
Okay. What was going through your mind when delivering product 36, aka your son Gabe?
It was frightening, and as my community termed it, discomforting. The doctors blindfolded me with a leather mask, and I could not see my son. Because my vision was obscured, I had to rely on my other senses, and I soon realized that something was wrong with the delivery. The doctors were frantic in trying to secure the delivery of the product. They eventually knocked me out with a sweet-smelling gas and used a knife to carve the product out.
Okay. What was your initial reaction to your reassignment as a fish hatchery assistant?
At first, I did not understand why something went wrong with my delivery because all the other vessels delivered their products successfully. I immediately thought that I was a failure, and when the council reassigned me, I hoped that no one would recognize me so that they couldn't question me about my first assignment or why I was reassigned. When they told me I was going to work at the fish hatchery, I was confused because I had not had any advanced sciences to study, which is part of the training for the assistants there.
Okay. What made you to decide to search for your son?
Well, the council overlooked the daily medication that every adult was supposed to take, in exclusion to the birth mothers. These pills were designed to take away feelings and knowledge of basic principles like color. So when I got reassigned to the fish hatchery, the council overlooked providing me with the pills. Since I was not taking the pills, my maternal attachment to my product was not severed. Therefore, I started to become emotionally attached to my product, which the nurse accidentally let it slip out that my product was number 36 and was a healthy male. I remembered that one of the 12s in my group got assigned as nurturer, which is a person who took care of all the products. So in my free time, which I finally got, I decided to visit my old acquaintance at the nurturing center in order to try and get a glimpse of my son.
How did you end up in an entirely new community without any memory?
I remember now that sirens were ringing in the night in my original community. So I ran outside to see what went wrong. Earlier that day, the nurturer at the center, who I befriended, told me that my son was destined to be terminated because he was not fit enough to be put in a family unit. At that time, I did not know it was Jonas that took my son, but I did know that my son was missing, so I decided to try and find him. Along the river next to the hatchery, a boat was there, and a crew member agreed to help me look for my son. Somehow along the journey, I fell in the water and was eventually found by another community's boat without any memory of what happened before. I only remembered my name.
How did you regain your memory and remembered that you were searching for your son?
In the new community, I was accepted and treated like their own. One day I was helping a woman give birth, and when I saw the child separated from its mother, I screamed at the other attendants to give the child back to its mother. Seeing the child separated from its mother caused me to remember how my child was separated from me.
And how did you prepare to continue your journey for finding your son?
I was stuck between two options: sailing the sea or climbing the cliffs surrounding the town. I was terrified of the sea after my horrible experience, so I decided to climb the cliffs. One of the townsmen, Inair, had made the journey once before, so he decided to help me prepare for it. For almost 3 years, I trained my body in order to build my strength for the climb, and eventually I was able to lift my whole body using one arm. I was told where to put my hands and feet when climbing and what to do if I lost my grip. Eventually, I decided it was time for me to go and find my son.
Was it worth giving up your youth in order to find your son?
Yes, it was. I would do it again if I was faced with the same decision. I realized that a mother's love is one of the strongest kinds of love, and that a mother would do anything for their child. Through this trial, I realized I would do anything to find him, and that I was nothing without him.
How come you did not approach Gabe to tell him that you were his mother when you first saw him?
Because I gave my youth up to the trade master in order to find him, I became old, and I did not wish for him to be obligated to take care of me. He was a boy at the time, so I wanted him to be able to be free and to live his life. In the back of my mind, I thought he would also not believe me because I was so old, and of the extravagant story behind my journey.
I have one final question for you. What do you plan on doing now that you have found your son and you're young again?
I plan to regain the time I lost with my son and get to know him more. I plan on becoming more of a mother figure to Gabe by telling him stories of the past. I also might go find a narrator in the future, but I want to focus on my relationship with my son at the current moment.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for letting us interview you today. This was News Channel 5. I'm Brandon Ropel, and good night.